everyone, this is Mindy Egan for Lawn Fawn, and in today's video, we are going to make a graduation shaker card. Some of the products that I'm going to be using today is the stamp set You Goat This, Better Together, Simply Celebrate Graduation, You Autumn Know, Whoosh Kites, the Outside In Stitched Star, Small Stitch Rectangle, and the Woodland Critters Huggers Graduation Add-on. Off screen, I did a little bit of die cutting. I had gone ahead and die cut out some of the pieces from the Woodland Critter Huggers graduation add-on. I have the tassel from Sunflower Cardstock. The hat is from Moonstone. I have the other part of the hat, the bottom portion, is from the blue textured canvas cardstock. And then the diploma is from Vanilla Malt. To get the hat to be two different colors, I die cut it once from the Moonstone cardstock and then another time from the blue textured canvas cardstock. And then I had trimmed out that bottom piece and I just followed along the lines that the die provided. So that way I could have it be two different colors to give it more of a dimensional look. Then using my glue tube, I can just go ahead and attach those pieces and also the tassel. I think the tassel would be really cute out of like a glitter cardstock, but I didn't want to lose the details that the die provided. To start the shaker panel, I'm first die cutting a piece of 80-pound white cardstock using one of the sizes from the small stitched rectangle. Then I'm going to take one of the stars from the outside in stitched star. I'm going to center it on my card panel that I just die cut, and that's creating my window for my shaker. Off screen, I had die cut another panel using that same small stitched rectangle, and I wanted to have a little bit of a glow behind my shaker panel. So I started with blending lemonade ink, but I wanted to have that ombre look. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of sunflower, keeping that kind of down towards the bottom. So it's going to be darker towards the bottom of the star and then gets lighter as it gets towards the top. And it's nice to be able to bring in my window panel and just kind of see how that looks and if I need to add any more color. I'm going to work on my stamping, so I wanted to have these cute two little mice on the front of my card. And also, I'm just going to stamp the sentiment right away since I'm going to be using the black ink for all of this. This is an alcohol marker friendly cardstock that I'm stamping on using the Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink. One of the mice is from You Autumn Know, and the other one is from Whoosh Kites, and they both look super excited. I'm going to color in my images using my Olo markers. I'm going to be using the combination O4.6, which is my darkest shade, to add in the shadow area. Then I'll bring in O4.3 for that mid-tone and blending out that dark color. And then the final color is the O4.1, which is going to add that highlight to it. I'm keeping the shadow area for both of my mice on the right-hand side, just because I already kind of know where the placement is going to go. So I figured that this would be the best area to place the shadows. And I'm using the same exact colors and process to color in this second mouse. Both of these images I think are great for celebratory cards because they both kind of have this either jumping or just really excited look to them. For the ears, I'm just going to pop in the R 0.2 and R 0.3 for the nose. For the belly, I am going to be using OR 7.1 and OR 7.2. I use the coordinating die to die cut out the images and also the sentiment. The sentiment I die cut out two more times from just some plain white cardstock, and I'm going to layer them together to give them that dimension to the front of the card. You could also apply some foam squares behind it, but I find by doing it this way, it just gives it a little bit more stability and I don't have to trim down my foam strips. I need to stamp my sentiment before I actually create my shaker window. And for this, I am combining two stamp sets. So I'm going to be using You Goat This and Better Together. On the Better Together, it has You Are Amazing, but I only want the words You Are. So I'm positioning the congrats centered underneath the star. That way I could align the You Are Amazing underneath that. And I really wanted to try and keep everything as centered as possible. Then before I inked up my stamp, I'm going to mask off the word amazing using a post-it note. Then I could ink this up with the black licorice, remove the post-it note and stamp that down. Then I can clean that off, line up my second part of my sentiment, which is going to say the goat, and stamp that down centered underneath that previous sentiment. I think these sentiments are very fun and unique and would also be really great if you have someone that is a sports fan. To create the shaker window, I'm going to start by flipping my front panel over and lining around the edges using the 1/4 inch double sided tape. Then I'm going to remove the backing of that. I'm placing a piece of acetate over the top, and this is cut to just a little bit smaller than that front panel. So that creates our shaker window. To create the well for our shaker bits, I am taking some foam tape and I cut a long strip and then I am doubling that up. So I'm folding that in half and then I will take my long blade scissors and trim that so that it's a skinny strip. When you are creating your well for your shaker, you want to make sure you have enough depth to your foam tape that you have room for your shaker bits to move around. And I also made it skinny so that I can get along the outer edges. I'm now going to line this up around the edges of my panel and I'm just trimming off that excess. When you're lining these up, you just want to make sure that you have these butted up right next to each other so none of your shaker bits escape from your shaker card. I am adding one other little strip down right underneath the star because I don't need to have a ton of room for my shaker. Now I can start filling it up. So I just have some random shaker mixes on my desk, some iridescent stars, and some kind of confetti mixes that I thought would work well with my blended background. Then I can start removing that backing of my foam tape. Now, one thing I really like to do is I take some post it tape and I tape down the corners because after I remove the backing from that foam tape, the card likes to start almost bending a little bit. And I want to prevent that. I want it to be nice and flat so then I can take my back panel, place that over the top of my exposed foam adhesive, and then I can remove those post it tape pieces. So everything stayed nice and flat. And I have this really great shaker card. I'm going to add some tape runner behind that shaker panel and I'm adding it to a card front I created using that same dark blue color of cardstock from the textured canvas collection, which ties in nicely to my graduation hat. Now I can start assembling the rest of my card. So I added liquid glue behind the word congrats and I'm placing that down kind of right underneath the star. I added thin foam squares behind my graduation hat, and this is going to go right on top of the star. I thought this was just really super cute. It kind of reminded me of a cartoon I used to watch. And then I also added some thin foam squares behind my diploma. So it's almost like the star is the one graduating, has the diploma in his hand. And if you dig through your stash, I'm sure you would be able to find some pieces where you could actually add like a smiling face to the front of the star as well. Now I'm finishing off by adding my mice down there around the sentiment using those same thin foam squares and then a little bit of sparkle using some glitter stickles. And now we have a really fun graduation shaker card for that special graduate, whether it be from college or even middle school or high school. And you can customize this just by changing up the colors of the card base and the graduation hat so that it fits your graduate. I hope you enjoyed today's graduation inspiration. Thank you for joining me.